Bienvenidos a Mescu Podcast, espacio dedicado a cubrir toda la actualidad del Fútbol Club Barcelona. Les habla Rafa Aldamuy y vamos a estar ahora mismo viendo en menos de 2 minutitos la rueda de prensa de Koeman antes de que el Barça se enfrente al Bayern mañana en Champions. La rueda de prensa de Busquets, la rueda de prensa de Nagelsmann y la rueda de prensa de Manuel Neuer, las 4 antes del partido de mañana del Barça contra el Bayern de Múnich en el Camp Nou. La primera jornada de la fase de grupos de la Champions League de esta temporada 2021-2022. Vamos a poner musiquita porque ahí siempre tiene que haber musiquita. Vamos a estar escuchando las 4 ruedas de prensa. Las voy a poner ahora rapidito. Ya JJ puso ahí Koeman out. Ya la campaña contra Koeman está candente. La gente no pierde tiempo en cogerla contra Koeman o el entrenador de turno. Así que nada, sigan dejando ahí sus comentarios en el chat. Lo que piensan, si están de acuerdo que si Koeman out, si están a favor de Koeman, todo lo que sea. Vamos a escuchar ahora mismo la rueda de prensa de Ronald Koeman. La tengo acá rapidito y vamos allá. Bueno, ahí escucharon la rueda de prensa de Ronald Koeman antes del partido del Barça contra el Bayern de Múnich. Vamos a escuchar ahora la de Sergio Busquets. Estaba leyendo el chat, veo que ahí hay gente que si Koeman in, Koeman out, Xavi, que pida a Haaland y a De Ligt, Larry, un saludito a Mariano. Vamos a escuchar ahora rapidito la rueda de prensa de Busquets.
Benvinguts a la roda de premsa del capità del Futbol Club Barcelona, Sergio Busquets. Comencem amb la primera pregunta. Paul Martínez, Barça TV.
Ich fange an mit der ersten Frage von Barcelona TV.
Bon dia, Sergio. Paul Martínez de Barça TV. Preguntar-te una mica com afronteu...
Grammarly can help you write quickly and confidently, so you never have to slow down at work. Stay on top of emails, documents, and more without having to stay put. Whether
Bueno, amb moltes ganes, molta il·lusió de començar una competició molt il·lusionant.
Y muchas gracias a todos. Muchas gracias a todos.
Gracias.
Bueno, ahí escucharon las palabras de Sergio Busquets, capitán del Barça. Vamos a escuchar ahora la rueda de prensa del Bayern de Múnich, de Nagelsmann, de Manuel Neuer. Es en inglés, así que si no entienden inglés voy a tratar de traducirlo un poquito. Vamos a buscarla por acá. Que aparezca. Vamos a escucharla por acá. Ya hablaron ahí Koeman y Sergio Busquets. Vamos acá a la rueda de prensa ahora del Bayern Múnich. Empieza Manuel Neuer y luego va Julian Nagelsmann.
Welcome, everybody. The Champions League begins tomorrow. Bayern Munich play in Barcelona. Welcome to our press conference, part 1, with Bayern captain Manuel Neuer.
Champions League starts a new season with the game, the FC Bayern at FC Barcelona tomorrow. Welcome to the press conference, firstly with Manuel Neuer, the captain. We do the press conference in German language, simultaneous translated in Spanish. Okay, let's start. Erste Frage bitte. Ich glaube, Klaus Bergmann für die DPA. Bitte, Klaus. Hörst du uns? Ja, Klaus Bergmann.
Ja, hallo Herr Neuer.
Hallo.
Man weiß nicht so richtig, was man jetzt bei Barcelona erwarten soll.
It's hard to tell, it's hard to predict what to expect from Barcelona. They've undergone quite a few changes. Do you think the 8-2 win still plays a role? Because I'm sure they haven't forgotten that. You don't forget games like that. But I do think it is a completely different team now. The players in the team currently will take more responsibility because Messi doesn't play for them anymore, so they're going to have to distribute the responsibilities on different shoulders now. Generally speaking, I think we have to observe and see what happens, see how they play. I think they're going to work a little harder in defense. I think they're going to try to win possession quickly, take it away from us quickly. I think tactically they're going to play together better. But that game, the 8-2, like many other games in Lisbon, was a final, a one-off game. And of course that was painful in Barcelona, but now we have 2 games in the Champions League group stages. We're happy that we can compete with the best, and we're looking forward to our Champions League voyage. We're looking forward to the first game in Barcelona. That's a great match right off the bat.
Hallo Manu, der Kollege Klaus Bergmann hat dieses 8:2 schon angesprochen.
The 8-2 was mentioned. How much do you think you still have as a team? What have you changed? How much of this 8-2 is still in your team? Well, of course, we have some new signings now. Barcelona are in the same situation. The teams are changed to a certain extent. I think you can say there's been quite a change. Then, of course, there's been changes on the coaching bench as well, so you can't really compare the game in Lisbon with what's happening today, what's going on today. But I do think both teams just really want to achieve a good start to the Champions League season. It's not going to be the same game as it was in Lisbon. We all know that. It's just going to be important for each team to get a good result for the Champions League start. That's why I think it's going to be a close game too. Let me ask again, how strong do you think Barcelona are at the moment? Thomas Müller said he thinks it's really difficult for him to predict what's going to happen. Do you agree with that? Do you think Barcelona actually have an advantage because they didn't play on the weekend and they have 40,000 fans in the stadium? Well, first of all, it's great to have so many spectators in the stadium. We saw that in Leipzig. The atmosphere was really fantastic for us players on the pitch. I agree with Thomas. It is difficult right now to analyze the international competitors. We're at the beginning of a hopefully long international season, so you can't predict exactly how strong every team is, particularly internationally. So that's why we're particularly happy to be able to play against such a big team in the first Champions League game, in the first Champions League group stage match. I think the players who have been on board for a while at Barcelona will try to take more responsibility. Everybody knows that Messi is gone, so I think other players and new signings will try to take responsibility, like Memphis Depay, for instance. They will try to fill that role and that gap that Messi leaves. We'll see what happens.
Dann der erste spanische Kollege Juan Tejedor von Cadena SR.
Buenos días, Capitán. Hallo, Herr Kapitän. Ich würde gerne wissen wollen, sind Sie ruhiger?
Tell us if you're a little more relieved. Are you a little more calm than usual because Messi's gone? And is it going to be strange for you to play Barcelona without Messi? It is unusual for every team that's going to play against Barcelona. I think it's unusual for the fans of Barcelona to not see Messi on the pitch anymore. But I wouldn't say that I feel more calm. They have great players. They have great attackers. They are also less predictable. Of course, you always try to take Messi out of the game. And that's going to be difficult for us now because, like I said, they're going to take responsibility, or several players now will have to take responsibility on the pitch. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But going into a game against Barcelona, you're never calm. You're always tense and concentrated.
Hello, Victor. Can you hear us?
Hallo.
¿Qué tal? Muy buenas, capitán. Quería preguntar...
Hallo, Herr Kapitän. Glauben Sie, dass ohne Messi die Mannschaft schwächer ist?
Do you think that Barcelona is weaker without Messi, without Griezmann? Do you think that Barcelona is worse, is weaker than in the past? Barcelona will never be a weak team. Internationally, it's special for every player to play for Barcelona and to present themselves in the best possible way. It's the Champions League. We don't expect to play a weak team. It doesn't matter if some players left the club. We have the highest degree of respect for all of the Barcelona players, but we know what we're capable of too.
Dann mal Gabel für RTL, bitte.
Grüß Gott zusammen, grüß Gott, Herr Mayer. Ich würde gerne nochmal nachfragen, dass keine Bayern-Fans mitreisen durften.
No Bayern fans are allowed to travel to Spain. Even if there's only a couple of thousand Bayern fans in the stadium, I'm sure you always feel happy that you're supported by them. Is that going to be intimidating for you to be only in front of the home fans? To be without any support? Are you going to talk, considering that fact, to young players like Musiala and warn them maybe? Well, for a player like Jamal, I'm sure it's really, really special to play in the Nou Camp. Every player, every young player dreams to play against Barcelona. Of course, it's a shame for those players who haven't experienced the away fans, that they won't be in Barcelona. We're hoping that our fans will be able to travel soon and join us in the other away games, but that's not up to us. The condition, the situation in these games, that's not up to us to decide. We'd love to have the Bayern fans there, to have Jamal supported by our fans.
Servus Manuel.
Going back to that 8-2 win. Do you think that King Ronald Koeman is going to use that 8-2 to motivate his players to work on revenge, taking revenge against Bayern Munich? So do you think there's going to be a motivational influence? And then Hasan Salihamidzic and Michael Zorc, they have a public discussion going on. Is that interesting for you? That's not motivating at all. We're focusing on that game against Barcelona. Like I said, I think so many things have changed in the meantime. So we're not going to Barcelona thinking about that 8-2 win. I already said that it's a new team we're playing against. We have a new team. So we're not going into that game with any bonus. We can't go into that game thinking, hey, we won 8-2 last time, so we have nothing to lose.
Mikro laut stellen, bitte. Thomas. Na, kurzer Check, dann gehen wir vielleicht schnell zu Sky. Torben Hoffmann, bitte.
Ja, servus Manu. Erfolg kam relativ schnell wieder zurück. Überzeugende Ergebnisse.
You're successful. You're convincing. 5-0 Berlin, 4-1 Leipzig. You've obviously experienced Julian Nagelsmann for a couple of weeks now. Tell us about him. What makes him special? Explain what impression he's made on you. Well, I think we all know about his positive attributes. He took that along, he took that on board. There are one or two tactical measures that he's told us about, that he's implemented here. It's important for us to be flexible. It's important for us to be able to react whatever might happen on the pitch. And he tries to explain that to us. He's a very emotional coach. He's very active on the sideline. He tries to influence us during games. He's very focused. Of course, he was in the Champions League with Leipzig already, so he's getting used to a new opponent twice a week. We're talking a lot, we're discussing a lot, we have a lot of analysis sessions, so we don't really have that many training sessions to practice that many things, so a lot of the things that we are doing with him are happening here behind closed doors.
Thomas Kattenbeck, bitte.
Manuel, auf der linken Seite steht ja ein dir nicht unbekannter deutscher Kollege im Tor, Marc ter Stegen.
Marc ter Stegen is in goal for Barcelona. He was injured. Were you in touch? Were you in contact with your... or is the competition too big between the two of you? Do you think he's going to be busy tomorrow? We'll see. I can't predict if he's going to be very busy or not. Obviously, we want to keep him busy with our team. On the weekend, we showed that we have a good team and that we can beat a good team like Leipzig, that we can work against a team like Leipzig. We can grind out a lot of goal chances, and we want to do the same thing against Barcelona now. It's good that he's healthy again, that he can play again, and he'll be part of the German national team next time as well, for sure. Manuel, last season we talked a lot about the goals you conceded and Bayern Munich's defensive problems. How happy are you with Bayern Munich's defensive performance so far? Do you see that there's been a development? We're at the beginning of the season now. Against Leipzig, if you look at the last game only, we were very well positioned, we defended well, we attacked early, we defended aggressively. And because of the many games that we're playing, we, of course, have to take into consideration who's fit and who's actually available. The coach will handle the breaks, will handle the lineups, will handle the different fitness of the players. We'll see if we rotate or if we rest a few players every once in a while. But it's important for us to communicate a lot. It's important that all of the important things that we practice in the training sessions, that we get that onto the pitch, that we bring that onto the pitch. We have to try to implement what we want to do, what we've practiced in training in the competitive games, and we want to show a good, stable defense like we did against Leipzig. Jamal Musiala showed a great performance against Leipzig. Do you think he's deserved a starting position? Well, the coach will explain that. I'm not sure if he'll tell you if Jamal Musiala will start, but I think generally speaking, our attacking players all showed very good performances. So there's a lot of players who deserve to start against Barcelona. I'd like to go back. I forgot to answer one question. I don't know if it's an advantage that Barcelona didn't play on the weekend. Sevilla against Barcelona was cancelled. Sometimes you have better rhythm because you play so many games. But of course, traveling to the national teams, that was quite hard. It actually worked quite nicely. A couple of our international players had to travel quite a bit. We had a good performance against Leipzig, though, and we'll see how important or how advantageous that will be. All right, thank you all for coming. We'll be right back in a few minutes with Coach Julian Nagelsmann. But he'll be... How did you analyze Barcelona without Messi? What's changed at Barcelona without Messi? And can you tell us a little bit about the injured players? Hi, everybody. Let's start with our players. Serge will travel with us, Serge Gnabry. Corentin Tolisso will not fly with us because he still has some calf problems. Kingsley Coman will travel with us. He's probably not an option for the starting formation. We'll see how he reacts today, but he'll be a part of the squad. Serge ran today, ran a couple laps. That was very good. He didn't actually play football, but his back pain has subsided. We'll have to wait and see how he reacts tomorrow. We'll test him tomorrow. We'll play with him tomorrow. We'll play some football with him tomorrow and then see if it's sensible to take him into the squad or not. But I can't give you a 100% answer. With Lewandowski, the situation is good. The precautionary measure was good and made sense. We took him out in the game pretty early. That was very valuable for us. He has no problems anymore. We didn't really move that much today because we didn't want to have too much exhaustion on the pitch. We had obviously a lot of players on international duty. Then a top match on the Saturday. We have a much less time to regenerate than our opponent, but we don't have any missing players really. We're traveling there. Apart from Corentin Tolisso, we're going to travel to Barcelona with a full squad. Regarding the analysis of Barcelona, it's a bit difficult to say if Barcelona is stronger or weaker. I think they're different. They don't have this extravagant style anymore because Lionel Messi is not on the pitch. He's extraordinary and he's missing from the pitch. But of course, they have players who can maybe step out of his shadow. He's such a superstar, Lionel Messi, and now it's a chance, of course, for players like Pedri or De Jong, who are key players at Barcelona. They are still pretty young players, and I do think that Barcelona are going to, or have changed the structure of their defense. They press very high. They try to win possession as quickly as possible. That's something that Barcelona didn't always do with Lionel Messi in the last 2 or 3 years. So there's been some changes in the way they play tactically. In possession, they played 3-5-2 a lot last season. Now it's 4-3-3, but they do go back to or revert to a back three occasionally. They might start with a back three. We're prepared for that as well. But I wouldn't say that they're necessarily worse than last season. If they're better or not, the future will show that. They're definitely different. They're difficult to play against. And you really have to show an extraordinarily good performance away from home to get 3 points, which is obviously our goal. We talked before Leipzig, and we talked about the back four. Lucas Hernandez and Pavard were injured. I think it's safe to say they played very well. Your back four played very well with Lucas and Upamecano in the center. Is there a reason to change that back four now? And to field Niklas Süle possibly, or to bench Lucas Hernandez? What are you thinking about? We haven't decided that. There's no reason to change the back four because of the performance. There might be physical issues. There were, like you mentioned, players who were out for a while. You don't necessarily want to plan to substitute players. So we'll see how they feel tomorrow morning. Niklas Süle had a break against Leipzig because he played so many games for Germany, but he did a great job. So there's no reason for me not to field him. The same goes for Josip Stanisic. Bunazar trained really well yesterday, so there's no reason for me to leave anyone off the pitch. And there's no player really who's so much outstandingly better than everyone else. So I do have to think about who to field. I need to talk to my coaching staff. I need to talk to the medical staff, what makes sense. We're going to communicate, we're going to discuss these things and decide tomorrow who will play. Marcel Sabitzer played his first couple of minutes for Bayern Munich against Leipzig. How happy were you with him? And is he an option for the starting lineup or not yet? Everyone who's in the squad is an option for the starting lineup. If there wasn't a chance that I could field them from the start, I wouldn't field them, or I wouldn't take them into the squad at all. Every player who's in our squad has to be able to play from the start. Now, Marcel, of course, has to acclimatize here. He had one final training session. He trained or started training 2 days earlier than the Bayern players on international duty. Then they returned, so he only trained with them once going into the Leipzig game. I think, considering the situation, he can certainly play better than he did against Leipzig, but after 6 years against Leipzig, he was booed there, and it wasn't easy for him to play in front of his former fans who were unhappy with him, but I think it was important for him to play. It was important for him to get on track. He came onto the pitch during a very wild period of the game, which is, of course, ungrateful and not easy to handle for substitute players. It was a very excited game. You immediately are pushed to your physical limit without being completely warmed up yet. So considering all of that, he showed a very good performance.
Herr Nagelsmann, es ist ja der Auftakt jetzt für die Champions League-Saison. Für viele ist das der heilige Gral des Fußballs.
The Champions League, of course, is the holy grail of football for many.
Wie nennen Sie diesen Pokal? Was bedeutet Ihnen?
What does that mean for you? What does this trophy mean for you? How important is it for you? And what's your goal? What's your vision for the Champions League season? Did you ask me how I call the cup? Well, I call it the handle trophy, I think, the silver handle trophy. I don't think that's what they call it in Germany. I don't have a special name for the Champions League trophy, but of course, it's the highest coveted title you can have in club football. So for us, I've mentioned this before, the last Champions League title that Bayern Munich won was very special because of Corona, and I think all of my players, of course, are highly motivated to win that title again. I'm super motivated to win the Champions League title. I, of course, haven't won it yet. We're going to try to start well. It's very important to have a good start to the Champions League group stage. It always predicts a little bit, to a certain extent, what's going to happen. I know the media likes to say that the first game is super important, but you only have 6 games, so of course it's important to have a good start. Ideally, you have a good performance, and even better, you get a good result. We have a difficult away game, but of course an extremely motivating away game that we're really looking forward to. It's a historic game in a historic stadium in a beautiful city against a very traditional, great, grand football club, so it's really worth going there, and I hope that we have a good result for Bayern. I just asked Manuel Neuer the same question. It would be beneficial for Bayern Munich, of course, if away fans could join you. Now, there's 40,000 fans in the stadium. Do you think that's going to be intimidating, particularly for young players like Jamal Musiala? Do you have to warn your players? Do you have to prepare your players a little bit more for the atmosphere, which will, of course, be very Barcelona supportive and without the Bayern away fans? I don't think any player's worried it's going to be too loud or worried or afraid of the atmosphere. There might be 1 or 2 clubs in Europe where the volume is so loud that you actually have to mentally prepare your players. But if you play in Dortmund, for instance, that's a similar atmosphere. When you play in Istanbul against Besiktas, that might be a higher volume than elsewhere. But generally speaking, I think every player, doesn't matter if it's Manuel Neuer or Jamal Musiala, every player is happy that fans are back in the stadium, that there's an atmosphere in the stadium, that it's not so quiet anymore. Of course, it's good that you can communicate better with the players, but football depends on more than just coaching and communication. I think every player, every single player, is really happy that fans are back in the stadium. Even if it's an away game, and even if there are no Bayern fans there, it's still great to have fans in the stadium, so I don't need to prepare anyone specifically for that.
Ja, hallo Herr Nagelsmann. Oliver Kahn hat davon gesprochen, dass der FC Bayern natürlich
Oliver Kahn said that, of course, Bayern Munich always wants to be among the top 3 in Europe. Do you feel pressured by that statement? Second question, what about your outfit tomorrow? Do you have an extravagant outfit planned? No. I'm going to have a very plain suit. I don't want to distract from the stars on the pitch. The coach, I have to disappoint you, the coach will not wear anything extravagant. I think what's really important about what Oliver Kahn said, it's not only me, it's Bayern Munich that want to be the top 3 club or among the top 3 clubs in Europe. That involves everyone. Top 3 in Europe means many things. So we're all together in this. There used to be this legendary sentence who said we're all sitting in one boat, which is a very literal translation of a German expression. So we are all together here. We're all together in this. We all want to be as successful as possible in Europe on many levels.
Hola, buenas tardes. Quería preguntarle si...
Herr Nagelsmann, ich würde gerne wissen wollen, ob ihr euch als Favoriten seht.
Do you believe you're the favorites? considering the last game was the 8-2 win. You talked about the 4-3-3 of Ronald Koeman also, or Ronald Koeman. Was it 5-3-1 earlier? Is it 4-3-3, 5-3-2? What are they going to play in 3-5-2, 4-3-3? What exactly do you expect Barcelona is going to play tactically against you? If we're favorites or not is a topic for the media. It's important to play well. It's important to develop an idea for a game and then show it on the pitch. It doesn't matter who's the favorite. It doesn't matter who's the underdog. We have two world clubs, two great clubs meeting here, and so how the players are, how the team is capable of playing on the day is very important. The motivation is going to be very high, of course. In a game like this, you only have 6 group stage games, so it's very important to prepare for all kinds of different situations. When Barcelona play in a 4-3-3, then Busquets moves forward quite a bit. They switch between the back 4 and a back 3 quite a lot. Statistically, they had their best results in a 3-5-2 last season. Koeman said that the 3-5-2 is still an option, so we're prepared for that. I hope that they're not going to be able to surprise us completely. We have and are prepared for all kinds of different tactics of Barcelona, but of course we have an idea of football. We have an idea of how we want to be successful independently of how our opponent will play. Nonetheless, we're prepared for everything, I hope.
Hola, entrenador, buenos días. Hallo, Herr Trainer. Wunderschönen guten Tag. Das, was Sie vorher gesagt haben über Barcelona.
Earlier, you mentioned about Barcelona.
Jetzt mit Messi, auch den Abgang von Messi.
Without Messi, do you think Barcelona is a better or a worse team than they were in Lisbon? I think they're very different. That's what really matters. That's what is really important. Lionel Messi was a player who, of course, attracted the ball a lot. He wanted to have the ball a lot. When you have Lionel Messi in your team, you always look for him. You always depend on his creative solutions to decide games. Now, several players will have to take responsibility. Barcelona have an interesting mixture of young players who can still develop. Then they have Frankie de Jong, who is already very far progressed, very well developed. He was, of course, very successful at Ajax already, then went to Barcelona. He's already playing a key role there, had a great start to the season, is doing extraordinarily well. With Memphis Depay, they have a great player who's new. With Luc de Jong, they have a player who gives a team a completely different structure than a player like Lionel Messi does. I don't think they're worse, or I don't know if they're worse. They're different. Of course, they have to adapt too. They have to get used to a team without Lionel Messi. How they play on the pitch, how they act in the locker room. How do you act without this superstar? Lionel Messi, of course, was a player who was influential, who had a say in certain decisions. So all of these things are changing at Barcelona. But I do think they've done a good job so far this season. I thought it was interesting how they played, and I would definitely not call them worse. I mentioned it earlier. You'll have to wait and see if they'll actually be better without Lionel Messi. Barcelona developed with Lionel Messi. They weren't always the same. They were fantastic under Lionel Messi, or with Lionel Messi, then they had a period where they weren't particularly good. So in every club, there's a process, there are ups and downs. It's not always the same level you play on, so it's different. After the Leipzig game, you talked about how many changes you want to implement at Bayern Munich. How close is this Bayern team to your idea of football? How much Nagelsmann football can we see at Bayern? You see it periodically, and it doesn't matter if it's Nagelsmann football. It's important that it's successful Bayern Munich football that thrills people and that is winning for the most part, and that leads us to progressing as far as possible in the Champions League. I don't care if you call it Nagelsmann football. It's important that the football that we play meets the demands of the club and that we are successful. We all want a little more control of the game than we had against Leipzig and against Cologne. But we also want to be very aggressive. We want to attack as aggressively. Against Leipzig, we had so many counterattacks when Manuel Manuel Neuer started attacks really quickly, and that can be thrilling and entertaining as well. We understand that football has to entertain, and we want to maintain this level of entertainment. We don't want to outplay our opponents with endless possession. So, on the one hand, that's the case, but we also want control, and we need to take a few more steps to gain more control.
Muy buenas, mister. Para el partido de mañana.
Für das Spiel morgen.
Going into tomorrow's game, are you nervous, more nervous than usual, because Messi and Griezmann are missing?
Bis jetzt geht's noch. Danke der Nachfrage.
Thank you, but I'm fine so far. Usually I get a little bit nervous and tense just before the game. I think I'm going to be as nervous as I usually am. I've been a coach for a long time, but it's always special to play football games, competitive games, and particularly so in the Champions League, listening to the music. It's a reward for all the hard work you put into a player or coaching career. So I think it's good to be a little bit nervous because it does enhance your performance. But so far I can say that I'm normal nervous. I think I'll be able to sleep quite well, and really I'm honestly looking forward.
Diego!
I have two questions. Is it important for you to have a left-footed player on the left center-half position, or can Niklas Süle play on the left? And I have a second question. What do you think about Michael Zorc and Hasan Salihamidzic? Michael Zorc told Hasan Salihamidzic to shut up. Well, let me start with the defense. It depends how you want to start your game, how you want to initiate your attacking moves. If your opposition attacks from the outside inwards, then sometimes it's easy to play with a right-footed player because you have the ball on the stronger foot. Generally speaking, as a coach, I want my players to be able to initiate an attacking move with both feet. I want players to have solutions with both feet. I want players to be in a good position to be able to pass the ball along. On the other hand, at Bayern Munich, we need players like that. So it depends a little bit on how your opponent attacks you. Do you want to start the attacking moves long way down the lane? Do you want to play the long balls behind the back four? Generally speaking, it's good if you have players like Lucas and Niklas Süle who can initiate attacking moves with both feet. Regarding the discussion with Hasan Salihamidzic and Michael Zorc, I honestly didn't really pay attention to the whole discussion. I only read about it. I haven't talked to Hasan Salihamidzic since. I think I like it when everyone keeps to themselves, and then you don't have to talk about choice of words. I'm concentrated on my team, my players. I'm making sure that they're healthy and perform well. Sometimes all of these discussions are part of the club. I think it's been pretty calm between Dortmund and Bayern for a long time. Now it's not so calm anymore. I think when Michael Zorc and Hasan Salihamidzic meet next time, they will be able to laugh about the whole thing. I hope. I think it's your first game against Barcelona, and you're still a fairly young coach. Is the myth of Barcelona damaged to a certain extent? You talked about the 4-3-3 of a Dutch coach like Ronald Koeman. Is Barcelona, in your opinion, still a title contender in the Champions League? I think Barcelona is a team, yes, that can fight for the title. They have this great image, and when you go to the stadium and you read Barcelona or Bayern Munich, I think that's important. That has an impact on your opponent. Of course, Barcelona is mythical. They have produced some negative headlines with the debt they're in, with the economics, the finances, and so on, and that does influence the image that the public has of Barcelona. But if you look at the team, then it's a great challenge for us, and we need a top performance to beat them in both games. Tomorrow is the first game of the Champions League group stage. We're not going to be able to win that title tomorrow. We won't lose the title tomorrow either, but it's important to have a good start. The Bundesliga is a marathon. The Champions League is not a marathon. It's like a 200 or 400-meter dash, so the start is crucial. It's not a sprint of either, not a 100-yard dash, because then the start is crucial. So we need a good start, and we need to get off the starting block as quickly as the others.
Hola, señor Nagelsmann.
Hallo, Herr Nagelsmann. Ich würde Sie gerne fragen wollen. Die letzten beiden Champions League-Sieger waren immer mit deutschen Trainern.
The last two Champions League victories were, or the last two Champions League teams were coached by German coaches. What is it about German coaches? Why are German coaches so successful right now? What is it about the German football right now? Well, first of all, what's really important is that there are some German coaches that can actually coach big clubs. That's very important. I can't tell you that much about the education and the career of other coaches. I had a great education. I was in a good group when I get my license. It's important, I think. And this was the same with Hansi Flick and with Thomas Tuchel as well. He went from Mainz to Dortmund, Paris, Chelsea. If you look at Thomas in Mainz and me in Hoffenheim and Hansi Flick here in Munich, it's important to have responsible men, club officials who trust you and who are convinced that you can do a good job. So I think you have to give young coaches, new coaches, a chance every once in a while, introduce some new ideas. And I think all of these German coaches, particularly Hansi Flick and Thomas Tuchel, they had chances to evolve, and we were trusted. I was allowed to do my job, and you can see that in German football more and more, that young coaches are taking over, that club officials trust young coaches, and that might be one reason why German coaches are doing so well right now, but I can't tell you how coaches, or what coaches' experiences are in England or Spain. I can't judge that. All right, thank you all for coming. Let's go to Barcelona. Let's hope we'll see a great game tomorrow evening.
Bueno, ahí escucharon ya las 4 ruedas de prensa previa a... ¿Qué te pusiste ahí, Diego? Ese emoji de comida japonesa. Ya escucharon las 4 ruedas de prensa previa al partido de mañana entre el Barcelona y el Bayern Múnich. Primero escucharon a Koeman, luego escucharon a Busquets, después a Manuel Neuer y finalmente ahí estaban escuchando a Julian Nagelsmann, el entrenador del Bayern Múnich. Recuerden que el partido mañana es en el Camp Nou. Vamos a estar acá en vivo con la previa durante el partido, entre tiempo, post, con todas las entrevistas. Así que de nuevo, vamos a estar aquí en Mezcum Podcast como siempre. No se lo pierdan. Cada uno que saque sus respectivas conclusiones de lo que dijo Koeman, de lo que dijo Busquets, de lo que dijo Neuer, de lo que dijo Nagelsmann. Yo creo que al final del día acá el tema para mí más, diría yo, concurrente fue cómo va a jugar el Barça con Messi, cómo ven al Barça sin Messi los rivales, como Neuer o como Nagelsmann, inclusive Müller. Creo que habló después del partido contra el Red Bull Leipzig y dijo más o menos lo mismo, que sin duda alguna el Barça pierde esa magia que tenía Messi, que te puede resolver el partido en cualquier momento, pero también, y eso nadie lo quería hablar, pero tener a Messi, por más loco que suene, tenía algunas desventajas también en cuanto a la presión se refiere. Y cuando tú no presionas como equipo o defiendes como equipo contra un rival como el Bayern, un Liverpool, es bien difícil. Un equipo tan físico que corre todo el tiempo. Y ahora veremos, obviamente este Barça todavía está en construcción, muchas bajas todavía, así que yo no creo que mañana sea un partido para jugar a este Barcelona, teniendo en cuenta que todavía va a ser el 4º partido de la temporada y todas las bajas, especialmente en la delantera que tiene el Barça, así que veremos cómo le va al Barça de Koeman mañana en el Camp Nou contra el Bayern de Múnich, pero yo no creo que sea un partido para sacar conclusiones de que si Koeman fuera, Koeman dentro, etcétera. Habrá que verlo, que lo otro que estaban mencionando mucho es qué táctica va a usar el Barça, qué táctica va a usar Koeman, si va a usar un 4-3-3, si va a usar un 3-5-2. Yo creo que dentro del mismo partido podemos ver diferentes variantes tácticas. Esto de que, de nuevo, podemos estar aquí hablando de un 4-3-3, pero esto no significa que el Barça va a estar jugando un 4-3-3 durante todo el partido. Todo eso varía. Tú puedes estar defendiendo con una variante táctica, puedes estar atacando dentro del mismo partido con otra variante táctica. Así que la gente, yo pienso que muchas veces se enfoca mucho en una alineación, etcétera, pero dentro del mismo partido podemos ver una variante los primeros 15 minutos, otra durante los próximos 15 minutos. Así que yo no creo que tengamos que estar tan pendientes a eso. Pero para mí, y yo lo digo acá, yo creo que Koeman sí va a salir con un 3-5-2. Veremos, pero yo creo que los tres centrales van a ser Piqué, Eric y Araujo. Los carrileros, Jordi por la izquierda, por la derecha, no sé quién, porque Este está lesionado, Emerson lo vendimos, tal vez un Sergi Roberto puede que sea el carrilero por la derecha. Luego en el mediocampo yo creo que vamos a ver a Busquets, Frenkie y Pedri. Y arriba va a ser Memphis. Y yo creo que con Luke de Jong. Yo creo que Luke de Jong va a jugar mañana de titular, porque es que tampoco hay mucho para escoger. Ansu todavía está lesionado. El Kun Agüero todavía está lesionado. Griezmann lo enviamos al Atlético. Braithwaite está lesionado. Dembélé está lesionado. La única alternativa sería Luke de Jong o Coutinho arriba. Que de nuevo, no sé si va a optar por Coutinho o por Luke de Jong. Mingueza, yo no creo que Mingueza, bueno, Mingueza puede jugar o de tercer central o de carrilero, pero no sé. O Sergi Roberto Mingueza, no creo que, tampoco es como que hay mucho para escoger en ese aspecto que digamos. Así que al final del día, yo personalmente no creo que mañana, después de mañana, sea un partido para jugar mucho, debido a que el Barça está empezando la temporada. Hay muchísimas bajas, especialmente en la delantera. Así que el Bayern es un equipo ya completamente rodado. Jugó el fin de semana contra el Leipzig. Yo creo que vamos a ver un equipo bastante parecido al que vimos contra el Leipzig, que fue atrás ¿quién jugó? Pavard de lateral derecho, Alphonso Davies de lateral izquierdo, Neuer en la portería, Upamecano de central, creo que fue Lucas Hernández el otro central. En el medio campo estaban Kimmich y Goretzka, por las bandas estaban Gnabry y Sané, de media punta estaba Müller, y obviamente de delantero centro estaba Lewandowski. Así que yo no creo que Nagelsmann varíe mucho ese 11. Tal vez pueda haber uno que otro cambio, pero yo dudo mucho que veamos algo muy diferente al 11 que mostró el Bayern contra el Red Bull Leipzig el fin de semana pasado. Así que yo me conformo personalmente con ver un buen Barça que dé una buena imagen, más que el resultado, que obviamente esperamos que no sea un resultado malo ni abultado, pero después de que el Barça dé una buena imagen, y yo lo comparo con el partido de vuelta contra el PSG en los octavos de final de la Champions pasada. El Barça en la vuelta para mí jugó espectacular. Si hubiese estado un poquito más afortunado de cara a portería, para mí el Barça hubiese podido inclusive hasta remontar esa eliminatoria, pero el Barça dio una buena imagen. Así que eso es lo único que yo espero mañana del Barça, que obviamente es un partido complicado. El Barça, aunque se juegue en el Camp Nou, no es favorito contra el Bayern Múnich. Y de nuevo, yo creo que hay que tomarlo un poco con calma, que si mañana el Barça pierde, la gente no pegue un grito al cielo de que ¡ay, el Barça perdió contra el Bayern! O sea, lo normal es que mañana el Barça pierda contra el Bayern. Es la realidad. Así que no, yo trato de ver el vaso medio lleno y brindar un poco de calma. Que aquí la gente en los youtubers del Barça, yo sé que obviamente pues son un poquito más exagerados en el sentido de que todo está mal, el fin del mundo, Koeman fuera, bla bla bla, pero de nuevo, yo creo que vamos a analizar mañana con calma todo lo que pase en este partido. Recuerden que el partido, una hora antes del partido, vamos a estar acá con la previa, vamos a estar durante todo el partido de nuevo analizándolo mientras esté transcurriendo todo lo que pase entre el Barça y el Bayern. Vamos a estar en el entretiempo, vamos a tener post también acá viendo todo, de nuevo analizando todo lo que pasó en el partido y lo que tengan que decir los entrenadores y los jugadores. Vamos a estar acá, así que de nuevo recuerden darle a ese botoncito de suscribirse, es gratis. Mañana le tenemos una sorpresa en las membresías que también pueden ayudarnos de esa manera. Hay diferentes tiers con las membresías, ya tenemos acceso a eso para que tengan emojis en el chat, etcétera. Y obviamente dependiendo de la membresía hay diferentes perks y que van a tener, como pedir que hablemos de un tema en específico y ese video pues va a ser exclusivo para miembros. Vamos a tener directos exclusivos para miembros una vez a la semana para hablar de lo que sea, ya sea del Barça o cualquier otro tema del mundo del fútbol. Tenemos una sorpresita con camisetas vintage del Barça que vamos a estar anunciando un poquito más adelante y se las vamos a estar mostrando. Vamos a estar ahí regalando esas camisetas del Barcelona vintage. Así que de nuevo, mil gracias a todo el mundo que estuvo acá viendo las ruedas de prensa de Koeman, de Busquets, de Nagelsmann y de Manuel Neuer. Y mañana vamos a estar acá en vivo y en directo con toda la previa durante el partido y todo el post del Barça Bayern de Múnich. Vamos a ir poniendo acá un poquito ya la música para irnos despidiendo. Así que de nuevo, darle las gracias a todo el mundo. Yo creo que hay que, de nuevo, calma mañana. No quiero que nadie se moleste si el Barça pierde, si hay un mal resultado. Calma, estamos empezando la temporada, ya a mitad de temporada. Encendemos las alarmas si hay que encenderlas, etcétera. Pero todavía es el cuarto partido de la temporada. Así que miren, respira, mira, inhala, exhala, calma. No hay necesidad por la cual estar exagerando todo. Así que de nuevo, mil gracias a todo el mundo que ha estado viendo el directo acá. Y nos vemos mañana acá. Denle al botoncito de suscribirse. Denle a la campanita porque automáticamente, mira, les va a salir. Así que de nuevo, mil gracias a todo el mundo. Sé que ahí está JJ en el chat. Diego estuvo en el chat. ¿Quién más estuvo? Wolholm Shelby, que es del Madrid, estuvo en el chat. Gamusa, Larry Alexander, Mariano Pozuelos, que siempre está. De nuevo, mil gracias a Mariano por el... ¿Qué diablo es esto? Nerio. Es que acá estoy viendo ahora los comentarios que... Hay unos comentarios que no me salen directamente. Nerio puso: hermano, mañana jugaremos un buen partido, aunque Koeman dando esas declaraciones. Yo de verdad no quiero entrar en esta pelea Koeman-Laporta porque yo pienso que ambos están de nuevo tirando dardos, cada uno por su lado. Yo no pienso que esto va a acabar bien, lamentablemente, pero aquí yo pienso que tanto Koeman como Laporta son culpables de esta relación tóxica que estamos viendo aquí. Así que de nuevo, eso es un videíto que luego se pueden hacer miembros del canal de Mezcum Podcast. Hay diferentes niveles. Obviamente el más económico lo están viendo ahí, que es 1.99, y nos ayudan un montón mensualmente. Y eso es algo que, ese tema Koeman-Laporta, es algo que podemos discutir en uno de los videos que es solamente para miembros. Hacer un directo que ustedes puedan hablar acá. Yo les pongo la camarita de ustedes, pueden hablar y dejarnos saber qué piensan sobre Koeman y Laporta mientras nos damos una cervecita o un vinito. Así que de nuevo, mil gracias a todo el mundo y nos vemos mañana aquí con el Barcelona Bayern de Múnich.
a shadow racing towards the light. I pray to see you one more time. dark. Stand by, watch me fall apart. I've always loved you more than you know. Father, don't you let me go. City nights and satellites. When I'm old and losing sight, carry me home all through the night. I need your love, I need your love.